Hey, what's happening, CSTers? Welcome to the big show here this Monday evening. Glad you're with us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. I'm Nick Suberling. FC Cincinnati falls over the weekend 2-1 to Inter Miami CF, I think is how they do the things down there in Miami, and what was I'm sure a fun one to play in weather-wise for the Orange and Blue. What a way to end the year for FC Cincinnati. Season wraps up down in Miami in a tropical storm. So we're going to talk about that match a little bit later on tonight here in the show. We're also going to be discussing the news that dropped today. FC Cincinnati announcing what players were going to be back for next season, who they're negotiating with to bring back for next season, and who will be saying goodbye to the club. And then, of course, tonight was the state of the team that Gerard Nijkamp and Jaap Stam presented to about 1,000 fans of FC Cincinnati. And a few of our CSTers were in attendance tonight virtually. So we'll touch on that tonight here on the show as well. Of course, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, we are monitoring the chats. So if you've got questions or comments, make sure you send them in, and we will definitely highlight them on the show. If you're listening to us after the fact on the podcast, you can email us feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. And you can hit us up on Twitter as well at Cincy Soccer Talk. I will start first with Brad Weigel. Brad, I want to say thank you so much. You filled in for me admirably last week on the show as a host. I was not feeling very well, and so thank you for stepping up and taking the reins. You did a fantastic job, sir. How are you?
Dude, I'm wonderful, and I'm even better now that our listeners who can't see Brian is just losing his mind because he knows that you introduced the Better Twin first, but no, it was a pleasure. I was saying it off air. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders that I don't have to host the show. I mean, like, it's intense, and you do this every week. I mean, I got March to match day and all that, but your job's a whole nother level.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. Yes, it's not, we have made things a little simpler with switching to this new format here. And I will give props where props are due. This wouldn't have happened without Brian Weigel introducing us to this new streaming platform. So as much as Brad is going to say bad things about you, Brian, I'm going to say good things. Brian, how are you?
Second, apparently, just like my birth. Thank you for that. At least I wasn't 4 minutes late this time, right behind him. So I'm doing fine. I look at this as it's kind of like the last show of 2020, moving forward to 2021. I can't wait for it. Step closer to relevancy back in the soccer landscape in the United States. So excited to talk about the transactions and the town hall or whatever they called it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You were in attendance, and you were also in Florida all week leading up to the match. Of course, you couldn't stick around for the match. Probably safe that you got out of town when you did.
Legitimately, we saw the storm clouds like coming in as our plane was taking off. So that was kind of got out right in the nick of time.
Well, good. Well, we're glad you're safe. We're glad you're back talking all things FC Cincinnati. It's election time of year, and we had an election slogan going on for this gentleman. Hashtag demand better. He's back on the show. He is Ken Hetker. Ken, how did you fare? Did you win?
Probably not. Doesn't matter. I think they're still counting, to be honest. Just to be clear. So we'll see how that all turns out. Maybe the guys can tell us how my slogan went and how Gerard and Jaap approached that. So, but no, it's good to be back. I'm the ugly triplet, I guess. The first two went, and I was born 20 years before them. So, and I'm the ugly one. So here, I'm just here. Happy to be here. We'll talk some roster stuff. I'm not blonde or redhead, so I know I'm distanced from those guys.
I'll let you call yourself a triplet if you let us tail game and that nice little pad you got there behind your shoulder. I mean,
oh yeah,
dude, that's
sure.
looking great for next year. You don't have to wait in lines for the bathroom, drink your beer. I mean, it tastes better that way.
Yeah, this is the downtown 2 blocks or 3 blocks from the stadium. So the condo. This is my working environment. So
nice. Well, again, we had you on for a reason because you know your stuff when it comes to the roster. And so we'll definitely be asking for your expertise a little bit later on in the show. And last, but certainly not least, he is the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. Bill, welcome back to CST.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. So we've got the triplets, and then there's me. I guess I'm the pet.
Your dad.
Yeah. Oh, I'm dad. Oh, yeah. I got
Father
this cup with
FCC.
it. Yeah, Father FCC. I thought maybe with the Wolfman thing I was being the pet, but okay. I'll take the dad. It's better. I'll be the old man.
We're all raised by wolves.
Get off my lawn. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, it's good to be done, I think, to be honest, right? I mean, it's been a crazy season, a crazy year, crazy election, crazy everything. So 2020 has still got a little bit of gas left in it, but nice to kind of see at least this part of it come to an end. I've got a lot more soccer coming up, but you know, that's not FCC. So King's Hammer's got a couple tournaments this weekend or next weekend as well. So excited to get involved with that again, see some kids playing and enjoy it.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to have you back on the show, Bill. It's always good to have your take on all things FC Cincinnati. And of course, you were there on the state of the team call tonight. So looking forward to getting your thoughts on that. Okay, so before we can get into the roster, before we can get into the news from today about players that aren't going to be back, let's put a bow on the 2020 season, shall we? Let's take a look back at Sunday's match against Inter Miami. As always, we offer up our best and worst. So, Bri, I'll start with you. Give me your best and worst.
Well, according to social media, half you weren't watching it, so that's probably the best case for the week. No, I'm joking. At least I still feel comfortable or happy that we're able to generate chances. Now putting those chances on frame, looking at you, Sen Young, is tough. And, I wish we could do a little bit better there. But, we still were able to do some positive things. I think if you listen to Jaap Stam this evening, that he was positive on that side. Worst case, we lost an expansion side who made the playoffs. So just kind of salt in the wound there, and didn't really enjoy that. But, on to 2021.
All right, Brad, how about you?
I'm still waiting for my team members of CST to join me on that watch along from last night. It was kind of lonely over there. I'm seeing Brian's out at the park and Boston's playing video games and X, Y, and Z going on Subs with his kids. But, it was a good time. So I think my best yesterday was being with our listeners for a final time this year. Bjorn, Tom Beversdorf, who now, after losing in golf, owns the rights to the naming of my firstborn. Yeah, that was my Saturday. He whooped me on the back nine there. But so that was my best, to spending time with our listeners one last time for this season. My worst, though, my guy Loka. I'm wearing it. You're kind of blocking me right here. Still without a goal. So it'll be a tough offseason for him. And I'm really interested to see how he's going to carry the expectations and how this team's going to set up to help make him successful next season. So we'll see.
All right, I'm kicking it over to you now, Ken. Best and worst.
I think it's all in one. It's a best and the worst. It's over. That's simply the best part and the worst part. I mean, Bill kind of stole my thunder on this one. As he's like, I'm just glad it's over. Bill at least gets to go watch some soccer that might be enjoyable when he goes watch King's Hammer. So I'm just happy it's over and we can move forward. To be honest, this has been a travesty of a season and difficult for us all to swallow. And the fact that we've tried to make this enjoyable, it's very, very difficult to talk about this weekly. I feel a little bit of a relief for Brad not having to do player ratings like he's been talking about.
Hey, one
just choked.
One positive to discuss over this whole season is, thank God it was a shortened, condensed season, so we didn't have to spread this out over like 10 months and 34 games. So thank you, COVID, I guess.
Nice for you, not nice for me, man. I had to do March to Match Day like every 3 days and tell all the other teams in the country why we suck. So and then I had to write about how our players sucked after every match. So great year. Great last like 5 months.
The synopsis of 2020's March to Match Day. Well, you guys are pretty terrible. So I think we're just going to do our own thing. That's pretty much every episode of March to Match Day.
Boston and I are the angry old guy, the angry OGs of CST. So we just like, you guys just shove us to that side and we just like bitch and moan over there.
Well, one of the I guess the optimists on CST all season long was Bill, right? I mean, Bill from the get-go was like, we're going to have a season. It's going to happen. He was always positive. So, Bill, are you going to give me something positive from this past weekend? Or Or you can be
Sure.
like the rest of us?
No. I always try to find the silver lining in the gray, dark, gloomy clouds. But yeah, I mean, as far as positives, right? I mean, we saw a new a loan, a new signing. Not really a signing. I guess loan is probably accurate, right? Franco Kovacevic,
Close. Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so I mean, he looked promising. Obviously, I felt bad for the guy. He comes out for one game. I mean, obviously, he had to get his visa stuff worked out, and then he had to get here, and he had to do quarantine, and then he got a couple of practices in and got out there. But you know, I liked what I saw. You know, he took on players. He could cross the ball. He could cut and shoot. He looked a little bit less predictable than some of our other wing players, which I really liked. So I think there's definitely some opportunities there. And the guy was playing in a hurricane. So, you know, definitely a promising start for him. A start that's over, but
probably doesn't get that kind of weather in Germany.
No. He was in the interview afterwards with Alex. He was like, "This is crazy." Welcome to the United States, man.
Holy crap! Is it a low bar when he can make a cross is a really good thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, but you know, let's be honest, right? I mean, one of our issues this season has been that we had you know, wing backs and wings and backs, and they could run up the you know, sideline, but we didn't really get much quality into the box. So, you know, we talk a lot about Loca not scoring goals, but at the same time, somebody has to actually get the ball into the box instead of over top of the box and out the sideline. So, I mean, we definitely have to improve some quality there, but I'm being positive, and you're messing me up here, man. But I thought it was a promising start. So that was my best. You know, it's nice to see a new face for next season, and maybe a little bit of where the club is trying to go from a quality standpoint. My worst was just Miami. God, such a terrible place to play soccer. I mean, every time we go there, it's a freaking hurricane, right? I mean,
yeah.
You know, I mean, the Coney phone from days of old, right?
Where we were still ringing.
Exactly. I mean, you know, it was a blast. We had a great time. I remember sitting in my car with like just rain just pounding on the roof, trying to talk to you guys on the phone, as we were trying to talk to the people in the stadium to find out if we were ever going to play that game. And then, of course, there was the bar with I think Griff was back there, and we were calling him, and the fire alarm is going off. I mean, it was, you know, that's Miami, right? I mean, what an awful place.
Griff, hang up.
Yeah.
Griff, hang up.
Griff, hang up.
Man.
Simpler times.
Yeah. But yeah, we laugh now. But I mean, really, have we ever gone to Miami and had good weather? So,
you know, it would have been really smart of us to have Michael Hood on the show tonight. He only played down there for a season.
Exactly.
So yeah. If I had to give a best and worst from this weekend, my best was that much like when you see in American football, when it's too windy, players have to hold the ball before it's kicked. We had to do that for a free kick this weekend. Hold the ball so that Harris Medunian could serve it in. It might have even been, in fact, it was an Inter
Miami one.
Player.
Yeah.
It was Inter Miami. You're right.
Yeah, but it looked like American football, right? They were taking a free kick or
literally holding it
goal kick
as it was kicked. So yeah, that was interesting because of the wind and the pitch. The ball was just anyway. So that was my best. I found that humorous. And then my worst was I had the Miami broadcast, and I had to listen to Ray Hudson.
Yeah,
I like Ray, but he was just obnoxious this weekend. Like,
oh, I love Ray.
There were times when I would used to watch La Liga on BN Sports, Bri. Oh, I'm getting looked at on.
What is wrong with you, Subes?
I'm
that
not,
dude is a legend.
He might be a legend, but I'm not a fan. Sorry, Bri. I'm not a fan.
You looked the wrong way.
Yeah, got to go backwards.
What's happening here? Anyway,
yeah. Did anybody think it was appropriate that Guido Gonzalez was our referee for our last game?
Holy crap. What a terrible call. Like the 10th minute. It was a Kovacevic just got taken out and no call.
Yeah.
Yep.
What the hell is wrong with that guy?
Dude, by the way, if you guys listen to not the town hall, whatever they called it today,
State of the team.
State of the club, Yeah, you could tell that Yop does not think highly of the officiating in this league.
I mean-
Holy shnikes, Batman.
Is anybody?
Dude,
No,
this my favorite
he's
comment.
borders on like I want to get
Oh,
fined. Please find me now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
His comment was like he had several comments, but my favorite was like, you know what? Why I really appreciate the fans. I appreciate the fans because you will help encourage the ref to give us the correct calls at our place. We can't take advantage of that now. You guys need to be merciless on the ref. I'm like, I love this guy. I'll fight for you.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll make some
He was
friends.
talking about how bad the calls they make and how the only thing they're good at is handing out fines.
That's
Well-
our next tifo. Stom hates referees.
Yeah.
Just get
Yeah.
creative with it.
I mean, to be fair, the last few matches we've had with Guido Gonzalez, he has done an okay job. But you're right. I remember
Shut up. No.
seeing that first tackle, basically the first tackle Kovacevic had in Major League Soccer, gets absolutely crushed.
Devastated.
And
Crushed.
nothing. No
Crushed.
VAR, no nothing. I mean, I know it wasn't in the box, but still should have been a foul. There were a lot of those this weekend that he did not call. But yeah, you're right. He had a rough one. Not as bad as Rochester at Nippert a few years ago, but yeah.
Yep.
That was a bad one. So we put a bow on the season.
Thank
FC
God.
Cincinnati ends the year with a 2-1 loss to Miami. Clinched the wooden spoon once again. Hey, we're consistent. We brought it back, baby.
Hardware.
Yeah.
We are setting the wrong type of records.
Yes. So, yeah. Anyway, we'd love to know what your best and worst, not just from this match over the weekend against Miami. Wow, Joseph going all in on Guido. Joseph in the Facebook chat says Guido Gonzalez is legally blind in one eye and 25% blind in his other. He learned and trained MLS referee at the Daredevil School of Calling.
Hey, man, it's a Marvel reference. That's cool.
Yeah. Marvel reference I don't get, but I'll take your word for it, Bri.
Oh man.
So anyway,
Tubes.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry, guys.
Nobody
Anyway,
listening to the podcast has any idea that we're like in a
He's just getting smacked around
Yeah.
from like 400 miles away.
gotta watch the video segment.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
anyway, let us know how you feel. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Before we get into the news from today, let's give a big shout out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. So give it up for Tim Bronsel, Tom Rose, Matt Adamczyk, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Coling, Tara Mullins, Riley, Stephen Burke, and Melissa Bingle. Thank you so much for supporting us here at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. So it was announced today, FC Cincinnati making some roster moves regarding the 2021 season. So they certainly don't mess around. FC Cincinnati will decline the 2021 contract options on Rashawn Daly, Sim DeYoung, Matthew Duplan, Greg Garza, Joe Giao, Bobby Edwards, Tommy McCabe, Jimmy McLaughlin, Hassan Ndam, Ray Ortiz, Caleb Stanko, and Captain Kendall Waston. 4 of the players out of contract for the 2021 season: Andrew Gutman, Nick Hagelin, Spencer Ritchie, and Przemysław Teton. The club is in current negotiations and discussions with Andrew Gutman, Joe Giao, Nick Hagelin, Caleb Stanko, and goalkeeper Przemysław Teton about their futures with FC Cincinnati. Right now on the roster for the Orange and Blue, Ben Lunt and Beckham Sunderland are your current goalkeepers that are under contract with FC Cincinnati. That leaves defenders Saad Abdul Salam, Zico Bailey, Tom Pedersen, and Mikhail Vanderwerf. Midfielders Frankie Amaya, Alvaro Barrial, Alan Cruz, Yuya Kubo, Harris Medunyanin, and Kamaholo Makocho. And last but certainly not least, up top, Franco Kovacevic will be on loan again next season. Jurgen Locadia also on loan again. And then, of course, it was just recently announced a couple weeks ago that Brandon Vasquez had reached an agreement on an extension for FC Cincinnati. So that is where we stand. From the departures, gentlemen, one name that surprises you each. Bri, I'll start with you.
Oh, good. I love being on this list. The departures.
Somebody that surprised you.
I thought Bobby Edwards was probably going to hang around, or at least maybe him or Spencer Ritchie. I'm sorry, that's 2 names.
What the hell?
A low-priced domestic goalkeeper had a future here. We'll see what happens, but yeah, those names are a definite shock.
Brad. Sorry, Brad. I was mid-drink.
He's mad.
He's been doing this for 5 years, and he still hasn't learned to not take all the talking points. I guess if I'm going to pick a name not named Spencer Ritchie, that is a shock to me looking at this list. I'm going to have to go with Greg Garza. That's one that I'm actually kind of shocked we don't have him on there because he's not that expensive. For a left back in this league, I think that if a lot of other teams are going to look for players who can contribute next season, I think he's going to be a very attractive player if he qualifies for free agency. I would assume he'd maybe have to, but I don't think he's got the tenure, so maybe he's going to have to go into some sort of reentry draft or something. But Greg Garza is one that I'm surprised FC Cincinnati didn't at least try to sign, and then if they didn't want him, maybe trade him to another team.
Interesting. That to me was one of the least surprising names on the list, but that's just my take. But maybe you have different reasons from a roster budgeting standpoint. I was purely basing that on what I saw on the pitch. So,
I mean, the guy was the best 11 left back in the league 2 years ago, and he's been plagued by injuries this year. But also, I mean, there was nothing around him here, and the team didn't utilize him getting forward. So. I think that he's going to be probably one of the more attractive free agents this year on a team-friendly salary budget charge. So,
all right, fair enough. How about you, Ken? Name that surprised you, or maybe none of them.
Hassan Nadam. He's the last of our expansion draft picks. How could he leave? If y'all don't realize, I'm just kidding. How he was an expansion draft pick, I do not know. But honestly, nobody surprises me on this list as far as disappearing, other than everybody said Spencer Ritchie, but and I can understand that one actually being that move being made too. So honestly, there is no surprise on this list. Ray Ortiz, I think, has the ability to play potentially. And I say potentially he has growth. His international spot just kills him. So I think it's a reasonable move to not bring him back. So nobody surprises me. I think every single one of these players could be gone and for right reasons.
Okay. How about you, Bill?
Well, I mean, if you take out the ones that we're still negotiating with, right, like Zhao and Gutman, Hagland, Teton. Ritchie was the obvious one for me, kind of a surprise. I actually kind of thought he might get the nod considering he was playing at the end and from a salary standpoint, much more attractive in my mind than Teton. But beyond that, I mean, there's nobody that was playing significant minutes. Nobody's a surprise to me. I think Stom made it pretty clear at the end of the season that he knew well in advance of who he was going to keep and who he wasn't. And you could just look at who was getting playing time. I think it was pretty obvious what his choices were going to be. So, I think it's even the ones that we are not like people like Zhao, right, that we declined the contract. You just have to assume that we're into a salary discussion at that point.
I mean,
so
wouldn't you think the surprises were more on the lines of the guys we decide to keep or to try to renegotiate with?
Yeah, you kind of were leading me right to
I think the keeps are the surprises for me.
Yeah, like I thought Teton was gone, no shot. And apparently we're trying to negotiate with him. And this is a guy who's been hurt repeatedly, who's on a lot of money, who doesn't, there's conflicting reports. Does he have a green card? Does he not? That just shocks me.
Yeah, I mean, where would we put him? I mean, if we ranked him as far as cost within goalkeepers within the MLS, top third?
Oh, at least. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, is he a top third goalkeeper in MLS? I don't know.
Then I think one of
No.
No, thanks.
Okay.
And maybe Ken and I don't know if we're
rhetorical question, Ken.
We might as well bring it up right now if we're going to talk about TT.
Are you going to let me give me my surprise? Oh, I see how it is. I come back, I let you host for a week, Brad, and you just kind of just take things
You don't even
over.
know who Daredevil is, man.
Come on, K-Slick.
Should we just boot him now? Because I'm technically in the producers lounge.
Oh, well, my surprise, and maybe it's not a surprise. But I thought, and again, I don't know how the contracts work with these college draft picks, but I would have liked to see Tommy McCabe maybe stick around a little bit longer. He didn't really get a good run in the team. Spent the year on loan, but again, a domestic player. I'm not saying he was going to be an MLS quality player, but I don't know if he really ever got a real chance to show what he could do out there. I don't know. That's a name that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. So getting back to TT here.
Wow.
Before I was railroaded, I'm going to take back the reins of this show. So why is it a surprise to me that the club's even talking to him? It's not that he's even overpaid at his position, but like if you think about this right now, we've got Ben Lunt who's going to be coming up. He's going to be a supplemental player probably, so he's not going to cost a dime. I think Spencer Ritchie, he would have been a very, very cheap senior roster player. So bringing in TT at $300,000 or more, we're going to have to pay him still a large percentage of that, where we could have actually taken that money back, used some of players like that are supplemental players, reserve players that don't cost anything, and taken that $300,000 and use that money and maybe use that as a tradable allocation money asset to go out and get some of the domestic players we need, because we haven't even talked about how we have one international spot left. So we are going to have to fill this roster with a lot of domestic players that need to contribute. And in order to do that, we need to take the money we were playing TT, use that, and go get other assets.
So Brad,
what are you talking about? We get green cards for everybody. That's how it works. You come to Cincinnati, you get a green card.
Yeah. So
Brad, maybe the current administration will free up that policy a little bit.
Yeah.
The upcoming administration, excuse me. Go ahead.
I was going to say we might have somebody on the commerce department, right? Working on helping us out.
Yeah. Aunt Meg. Let's
Meg,
go.
yeah. So anyway, my question to you, Brad, was: are you saying that we should have stuck with Spencer, Lunt, and Sunderland? Would that be a smarter move and not have Teton? And I'm only presenting this because I know we've had sort of the discussion, but for the people listening, that frees up a senior roster spot and all $328,000 that goes with it. That doesn't count towards salary cap, basically, because that's the top 20 players are the only players that count, just for everybody to understand. So Teton frees that up, and you're saying to go for another field player, basically.
Yeah. So you think about in Major League Baseball, you have WAR, wins above replacement. And I don't think, though, the effect of TT over Spencer Ritchie is that dramatic. So I think you should have gone with Ritchie. You could have kept Bobby, or you could have gotten another college player, put the college player as your third keeper. Sunderland, put him out on loan or something. He's young. He's got to get minutes. So you go with, you go with a Ritchie, you go with a Lunt, and you go with a college player. And all of a sudden you've got three guys that you don't have to pay that much money for. And then you can go out and get more difference makers. I do not, for the life of me, for Moneyball reasons, understand why we need to pay a goalkeeper $300,000 or more when we have more pressing needs other places around the field.
I mean, you could spend $300K on a goalkeeper, but who cares if he's picking the ball out of the net every game?
Right. Our goalkeeper on this team does not matter as much.
So we will be renegotiating that down. That's the direction. That's the direction we're heading. So for people listening, we would expect that contract value to drop significantly. I would hope at least under 250.
That's high. That's high to me.
Well, I'm just saying at least under. Yeah. So yeah, we can argue on that, disagree or whatever. But
I still think there's a chance that we bring in somebody else from outside. There was a rumor that we had a goalkeeper lined up to bring in this summer window. So we'll see what happens. I still like the domestic route. Anytime we can fill a domestic spot, and goalkeepers, fairly easy place to do that. So, but we'll see.
Well, I guess if we're going to go along the lines of surprises that are sticking around, Brian, as we switch to that side of things,
Nicholas,
was there a name that surprised you that will be coming back for next year?
Man, that's a good question. I think that looking at the roster, and after seeing Laurel Fowler's article on her Patreon this past week, Harrison Dunanan, he was kind of always that, is he going to be here for 1 or 2 years kind of guy? I thought he was the MVP of this year's team, clearly, but he just makes so much dang money. I think he's like $500,000 player. And apparently he hit some performance metrics that automatically triggered his 2021 option. So, I'm glad to have him on. 625,000 plus, probably. Sorry about that. So he hit his metrics. He'll be here next year, most likely, unless we decide to trade him somewhere or he retires. It's a lot of money on the books for a guy that's, not really in the long-term plans. And you heard Nijkamp and Stom talk about on their Zoom chat tonight that they want to start looking for guys that are going to be here 3-4 years, and they're kind of done with that 1 to 2 year player. So is he going to have a huge role on this team next year? Are they going to try to put Frankie in his spot halfway through the year, maybe even bring somebody else in? So it's just a lot of money again to tie up and not give us a ton of flexibility going into next season.
Could he be a player that might be moved this offseason in some sort of trade in an attempt to, I don't know, try to get the top spot in the allocation again? Because clearly we just lost it.
They made that mention tonight that there are players that they are on the roster that they are going to try to move, or look to move.
Okay, yeah, look is probably the right word, because moving players is not probably not easy at the moment. Bill, was there any name on the list that that the club announced that would be back for next year that surprised you?
Yeah, honestly, I would say probably Alan Cruz.
Ken's favorite player.
I know, but Ken and I aren't too far off on this. I think he's also been disappointed. I think, at least going into this, I was under the impression that he was under an option for this year. And it doesn't look like the club is actually saying that. They're kind of indicating that he already had a contract for this year. So that kind of changes that possibility. But I was under the impression he was under an option. And honestly, I just didn't think he produced. For me, I just kind of look at this season and I say, we had 3 DPs. Those are the big players on this team that you look to make a difference out on the pitch. And they didn't. Lacadia obviously has another half season on his loan. Kubo obviously had a 2-year contract when he came in. So they're not touchable, but you got to free up some of this DP space, maybe buy down Kubo and get rid of Cruz and try to, bring in some players who are going to make a difference, because we definitely need that.
Hashtag demand better, Ken Hedger.
Yeah. I do agree with Bill on the I'm an Alan Cruz fan, honestly, still am. But I told Bill earlier, I said he was probably my second most disappointing player behind Sem DeYoung as far as expectations go. And I know people will probably bring up Loca or whoever else, but Sem DeYoung did absolutely nothing on the field as far as I was concerned. I mean, produced nothing. And Alan Cruz was just slow. And, he had moments where I felt like he influenced the game, but it was too far and, too infrequent that occurred. So yes, he was definitely deserves to, I agree with deserves to go. But the other one that that we're bringing him back, and I know we have to bring him back, but it's just disappointing that we have to bring him back, is Michael van der Werf. And I've also initially liked this guy, but he's done absolutely nothing this year, and he's on like a $650,000 contract. And maybe I pose the question is, are any of these guys worth buying out and freeing up after this is all said and done? Like we did Adi, we get one of those contracts a year. I don't know. We need the whole back line needs to be redone. So, but Van der Werf was definitely one that I was hoping would disappear.
All right, Brad. Last but not least.
Jobstom. I'm just kidding. Literally, the guys took all the picks.
Oh.
What am I supposed to say?
Okay.
No, I mean, honestly, I think the player that I'm surprised that they're talking to would be Caleb Stanko, just because I think he was on like $325,000. So they must negotiate him way down, and he didn't really do anything for me the second half of the year. So if there's one player that I'm just surprised they're talking to, it's got to be Stanko.
For me, I'm surprised that they are talking to Teton. To me, I think you move on. You can find a goalkeeper that can play just as good for a lot less, personally. And right now that's a deal breaker unless he gets a green card, and we still don't know what the situation is there. We've seen reported that he has one. I don't know if we ever got confirmation that he did. So for me, that was a big surprise. I'm not surprised that they are renegotiating with Nick Hagglund. I thought he earned it, right? I would say that Nick Hagglund earned a chance to renegotiate to come back for next year. I think the four of you on this panel would agree with that, correct?
Yeah, I agree.
Can I ask a question to you guys? This might be silly, but if we re-sign Titan, do you just go like, ugh? Like, do you have that like feeling if we re-sign Titan this year? Like, I just like.
It depends on what. Right. I guess it depends on how much.
I'm just almost where I just don't want him on the team anymore. Like, I mean, yeah, he makes fine saves, but I don't know, man. I want to like honestly like clean slate and get some of these guys out of here. I mean, unless he's just the best teammate out there, like I just want to move on.
I guess the only for me, the only reason to bring back Titan is he would be the one goalkeeper with continuity between at least some members of the team and how they want to play.
Yeah.
Like that is a stretch, and I don't know why we're bringing him back.
Right? Because they're going to be bringing back. There's going to be so many new faces next year. There is not going to be much continuity.
But I mean, at least 4 or 5 defenders. So at least there's one familiar voice between the midfielders and the defense. Literally, that's my only thing. Like, we're going to have to ask Brandon Ponchak, like, what's the reasoning why you bring him back? I don't know. I have to let him know. Bring him back. Zeus from the Dutch Lions.
Zeus de la Paz.
Yeah, bring him over. But that could be my only thing.
Is he international?
I don't know.
He probably is international, right? Brandon, is he a domestic goalkeeper? Let us know. Yeah, that one is still kind of baffling to me about.
Yeah,
Titan.
I don't kind of talk down that consistency thing though, Brad. I mean, I know you said it's a stretch. For me, I think it's important. I mean, I think if you look at every season we've had now, we've like done these complete turnovers, and then we just feel like it takes us half a year to get to know everybody. So for me, I've been wanting us to have some consistency in this roster turnover. I mean, I didn't want us to wholesale, ship everybody out. I mean, if we were down to the point where we had basically 11 players, right? I mean, we had a bench, but we never used it. So we had about 11 players that we played all the time, and they were about broken by the end of the season. But those 11 players to me, earned the right to come back. They certainly worked their butts off for it. And they would be a nice core for a team moving forward. And I think that's, kind of where we were. And for me, Richie and Titan are both in that. I personally, just from the standpoint of cost, I would have stuck with Richie over Titan, but maybe Titan, they think they can negotiate that down. But I think consistency has killed us. I mean, we've every year it just seems like we're like, well, it's going to take 4 or 5 months to get us to gel. It's like, I know it's going to happen with new players too, but at least when you have a team that has a core and you bring in a handful of new players, it's a different amount of gelling than 20 new players, which is what we seem to do every year.
So now that those roster moves or transactions have been made, Ken, from a budget standpoint, where does this team sit at the moment?
Well, I mean, when you say where do we sit, you mean like finance-wise, like player signings, or
let me.
I
Oh,
was gonna say,
can we bring in 2 DPs this offseason?
can we? We could, and
what would it take?
It would take a lot, to be honest. Okay, I stood up on my little soapbox and demanded 3 DPs, and I've been sitting here playing with the money and the roster, and I am struggling for this team to bring in 2 additional DPs on top of Loca. So having 3 real DPs is going to be really, really difficult now to start the season. I think we can buy down Cruz, and I think we can bring in a DP. And we bring in a DP 10. I'm just saying that's what if we're going to go for a DP, we need a DP 10.
Can we buy down Kubo or no?
We could, but if you're not going to get it, we could, but you're going to really, really restrict money wise what you can do in the
Allocation.
summer.
allocate.
Yeah, and you're
Tam.
really gonna restrict what you can do come the summertime. And I'd rather the team. And God, here I am. I'm sitting there saying I said 3 DPs, and I'm going. It's better for this team to get a third DP in the summer at half the cost because it's a half budget charge, and build this team up. And I'm just setting expectations. I mean, again, I was on my little soapbox 2 weeks ago, and it's hard to do. We're in a salary cap league, and this is the struggles that when you miss with Sam DeYoung, you miss with these TAM players, it just screws you for a long term. So Gerard needs to hit a couple big players, a TAM and a DP guy. He needs to hit on them. It can't be understated at that point. So can we do it, Subs? Yes. It would severely hamper, though, I think, down at the bottom of the roster a lot.
So I think Bill, Clay, and I, we kind of had a little bit of intro to this week's show last week. And one of the things that I commented on is that I think that the flexibility that has been mentioned by the front office has been overstated. Because the way our TAM situation works out this year, if you look at our TAM players that we have coming back, we're at least going to have Harris Medullion and Michael Vanderwerf. But we're going to lose Siem DeYoung and Kendall Waston. Okay, so if you want to get in another DP, you're going to need to buy Alan Cruz down, who's got a significant charge. He's going to eat into our TAM from next season. So then if we want to buy Yuya down, okay, that is going to be even more money probably than Alan Cruz. So then some questions we have to ask there is, what's going to be the roster charge of Alvaro Barreal? And then do we want to spend TAM to possibly recruit another center back? So it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul here. How do we want to do this? So I think if you want to bring in 2 DPs this season, honestly, you will probably have to move on from one of those TAM players, and more than likely, I think it's going to have to be Alan Cruz.
But there's also a pathway where you can bring in a solid 10, but then that third guy has to be a low age youth designated player.
You're going to be U22.
Yeah, it has to be U22 to minimize that budget charge. Because
that's
go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say that's something you just brought something up. We don't know those those charges yet on those young DPs, that new under 23 rule. So that could have a significant impact on the roster and what they can and can't do. We're in the dark on that at this point in time.
Probably everybody is.
Yeah, and Joe Laurie, he put up a question here. How's this new player that they signed? They talked about on the Zoom call today. So, good question, Joe. So what happened is today on the state of the team, Gerard and I can't mention that they have an agreement in place with a player and an agent. That does not mean they have an agreement with the team that player is affiliated on. So, just like the Gaston Pereira, where they might have an agreement with, or Black, they might have an agreement. There's a lot of parties that need to agree for that to come here. So we don't know who that is yet. I'm sure we'll find that out in the next couple weeks. But there's still a lot of things that need to happen to get these guys here in Cincinnati. And you might hear, the window doesn't open yet for a while. The European window opens in January. But we might hear agreements in principle, leaked through the media. But I don't think we're going to hear anything firm for a while.
We've got a comment in here on YouTube from Brandon. He says, from the call tonight, I think Gerard hinted strongly at trading Alan Cruz. Now, how does that work with a DP? I mean, he is a DP, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Can he even be traded?
Yeah, he can be traded. And Ken, maybe you can tell me a little bit more about this. But I think if we trade a designated player, we get a percentage of TAM back if we sell it at a surplus.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
no, not trade, transfer.
Or transfer.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Transfer. He's not going to be traded within the league.
That's what I was.
I don't know who would take him inside the league.
That's what I was wondering.
He would probably be
who
transferred outside the league, like a European team, like a Scandinavian league or something like that. I mean, honestly, if we were looking at bringing him in 2 years ago, and what would his trajectory be, we would have said 2 or 3 years, and he'd be going to Europe. So we're at 2 years,
right? Yeah. So when I read Brandon's question, he says traded. To me, that means within MLS, which I did not. You don't see DPs traded within the league, mainly because of the
only
roster
to
charts, right?
expansion USL clubs.
Or the Columbus Crew.
And you also have to take into consideration when he's a DP, that includes transfer costs right now. That's what if his transfer cost fees are out of the equation, he's easily a low TAM kind of player and may not even be a TAM player. He may be a GAM player at this point in time, but we don't know those costs either. So if he got traded within the league, he could be a $400,000 roster player, get traded to Austin, Texas, the Austin FC. Who knows?
Well, I think the long story short is FC Cincinnati does not have, as far as we know right now, a ton of international spots to go out and pull some of we think the difference maker talent. So the front office is in Gerard Nijkamp. It's going to be a test here. What has he learned over the past year to bring difference makers into this club at a way where it's kind of a departing from what he has done in the past, where he's had freedom to go overseas and get different players. So it's what has he learned from MLS? What has Jaap Stam learned in his 20 some games as manager? How is he going to be able to bring in domestic players? What domestic players does he like? And how are they going to be able to get creative to bring in some difference makers into 2021 to make this team jump off and succeed?
Joseph Pipitone on Facebook says, unless Cruz to Hoffenheim.
Deal.
Bri?
Trade Cruz to RSL for Justin Glad. Boom. Magic. Let's do it.
I'm in. And I'm Cruz fan.
I have no idea how Justin Glad plays.
Justin Glad is a pacey center back who I'll say he's not out of form. He started like every game for the previous 4 seasons, but like 2/3 of the games this year. I think they just had 3 center backs that they rotated in. So couldn't be worse than Waston. No offense. I mean, fit for pacey wise and being what we want, I would think his persona or his skill set fits much better than Kendall Waston in that role.
Is that a move RSL would make?
He's in his last year of his contract, so might as well try to get something out of him.
Okay.
And it's an option year for him too. I think they actually have to trigger that option.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I would love to get 3 new DPs, but my guess is, unless Jurgen Locadia starts off the season, gentlemen, on a torrid scoring streak, that come June, we might be in search of another DP.
Oh,
I mean, if current form continues, right? I mean, he made no bones about it tonight on the State of the Call, didn't he, Bill? That they spoke with him.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's been brought up that it's been a tough season, and travel and COVID and yada 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 yada, and there's a lot of reasons why you can say that players aren't doing well, and you can even get into that. Stom talked a lot about the mentality, losing breeds losing kind of thing, but in the end, I think Nijkamp was pretty brutal and just said, in the end, they have to score goals. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So, I mean, you can give excuses to a point, but if you're not doing your actual job, you have to move on. So,
yeah, so that might open up a spot for your 3 DPs, Ken, for June. Let's hope he flips the script here and comes out and scores buckets of goals early on in the year. But then again, awesome. we don't know when the season's starting.
Nope.
I mean, if they start in May and they got to make that decision in June, now what?
I have a strong feeling that Brighton is going to let us continue to pay his salary as long as we're willing. So, as we've seen, contracts can be amended.
Can they negotiate it down?
Again, please. I don't think it's very high right now.
Yeah. Well, and if he's not producing, right, what's the incentive for Brighton to take him back? So, I mean...
Well,
we don't want a player that sucks, though.
Right. I mean,
we don't either. I know, but
we have plenty of those.
We've had him for 2 years.
Woo.
No, I think Stoops, though, I actually think if we don't start till May, that works to our advantage. Because honestly, I think we don't want to draw out, March to June and figure out whether or not he's going to do it or not. I would love to see a later start for COVID. The season ends late. They delay a little bit to give the virus a little more time to hopefully burn out a bit, and then we get maybe 6 weeks to 2 months, and I think we'll know then, right? It's not going to take long for us to know whether Locadia is going to produce next year. So
that's true. I mean, he did get off to a good start this year, right?
I don't think Locadia sucks. I think he's got
I don't
zero
either.
people fielding him. He's got 0 wingbacks crossing in passes.
No
nothing.
service.
So
Yep.
I think Jaap Stam, from the little bit I got to see the first 30 minutes, did a great job of discussing that. So I think if we can end anything on November 9th, 2020, it took me a while to read the bottom corner of my screen there. I think Jaap Stam knows what he wants. Does he have the players, and can he get the players on the field that he wants to succeed in 2021? I think that's our big learning curve, learning thing in tonight, is that after listening to that call, I think the FO was like, meh, we don't have the players. And so I think there's one move, there's one goal, 1 point, one direction, one arrow. It's they've got to get better players. And if that doesn't work, I have no idea what's going on. So
how are they going to get better players if we don't have roster flexibility to do that?
Right. That's why I don't bring back Teton, but that's okay. I don't know.
But Teton's not the only thing, right? I mean,
You only fill out 18 spots to start the year. That's what the team has to do. I think you have to leave
18 senior spots.
Senior spots. You have to be clear. Senior spots to save some roster spend via that methodology and see what you get from your bottom half. I think that's the smartest way for him to do this. Maybe you guys feel differently, but I think that's the only avenue he has right now besides moving players like Cruz or Medunian for some sort of value.
Well, I saved the best for last because tonight was the state of the team call. Brad was on for a little bit. Bill was on. Brian was on. So, gentlemen, why don't you give us some highlights? Bill, what stood out to you tonight with Gerard and Jaap speaking about the team?
Well, I think Brad talked about this a little bit, and I've seen it in our chats as well through the various social media that people are watching us on. But, they started off actually showing some breakdown of plays. And I think that was pretty fascinating to see. Certainly, Stom talked through it, some of what he was looking for. So you really got an idea that it wasn't just guys running around, and he had a vision, he had a plan, he had a way he wanted to play. I would say in general for me, from the examples they gave, and of course, you might say that the team itself is limited in what examples they could provide. But, most of those were sort of build up and press examples. He talked a lot about, coming out of the back. He talked a lot about when the ball turned over, putting pressure, those kinds of things. So you see that style that he wants. You see where he shows the right thing to do. And it had some nice highlights and various other things that made it pretty clear what he was looking for. And it was good. Obviously, so he's got a vision of what he wants. He's got examples of what he wants. He just needs to get the players that can do it. I would say that there wasn't really much vision for like how to score. It was more like we need to build up and get to that position, and then you might question what's next, which could either be a situation that he doesn't know. Or it could maybe be that our players weren't able to execute, and therefore he didn't have much good examples to show that. He did show a couple cases where the ball got into the 6 and somebody flubbed it or missed it or whatever. But
when you say somebody, you mean Locadia?
Sem de Jong.
Actually, Sem de Jong, actually, and Zhao actually as well. Zhao, mishit, and then Sem mishit. And
Sam was a good one. Yep.
yeah. So I mean, it's
Of course, they're not going to drag their DP.
Right.
which
from the
they could
fans.
have done that too. But the point is what how's he going to get an example to show us what he wants when we didn't do it? So I'm not sure I can say that I know yet what his plan is there, but I do think he definitely, has a vision, and he definitely has a style of play. There is definitely an intensity level he expects. I would say the other thing was very early on, he just said, and I think it kind of came out of a bit of a question where people asked about, our defense was horrible. And we got our defense better, but now our offense was the worst. So how do we now take what we did on defense and make our offense better, or keep what we did on defense and make our offense better? Maybe the better way to say that. And Stomp just frankly just said our defense wasn't good enough. And obviously he's a defender. Obviously he's got that idea that everybody defends. And I don't think that's a problem. I mean, as long as the team has an intensity and moves forward and has a possession style with a high press, I think he's trying to say, I think we can defend better than we do, but we can still be exciting and fun to watch. And that's what I took out of at least the beginning part of that meeting. And I'll let somebody else talk. Won't take all
Right.
the points.
You came away, and again, when I before the show started tonight, you seem to be maybe not optimistic, but you seemed very energetic. Like you liked what you heard from Jaap Stam tonight.
Well, I'm Stevie Sunshine, so apparently that's the only thing I do. But no, I could listen to him talk football all day, and he's a guy that you want to root for. So I really left impressed again with him, and I don't think he's the problem. If it comes to
Pretty
the point,
clear, right?
yeah. I mean, I think I think all of these guys and general managers and coaches, they always ask for like one more year. Well, I think this is the year. And if they don't, I mean, it's their guys now. And if they don't get the results, man, I think we're going to be rebuilding in another year with another, GM or technical director, which I don't want. I want these guys to succeed. I want Jaap Stam at the club for a while. And I think they have the vision. And I think they're brilliant, but we've seen time and time again, brilliant coaches fail in this league. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a ton of pressure. I think they know they're under a ton of pressure. I don't think anybody needs to come out here and drag these guys. I don't think Birding or Lindner or anybody needs to come out and drag. I think they know. So, and that was evident that these guys took 90 minutes of their time to talk to 1,000 supporters. Nobody's doing that. Some of the MLS guys were like, holy crap, this is incredible what these guys are doing. So I respect the hell out of them. I'm rooting for them to succeed. I still have the confidence in them. People are saying online, how can you have confidence in these guys? Listen to Coach's show over the past 2 months. Listen to this show. I mean, literally, I said this offline to Ken and Brad. It's like, if you clipped our best, 45 comments over the past 3 months, that was this 90-minute segment. We've seen what's going on. They're executing their plan. It's just that final end product. If they get the guys, they get that 10 to unlock this team, man. I think they're so close. I really do.
Brad, you tuned in for a little bit. Anything stand out?
Adrian Heath, this last year, in his third year at Minnesota, was like, hey, I'm not that bad of a coach. You all doubted me for a season or two, but I'm not that bad. I think tonight, Jaap Stam, to the diehards of FC Cincinnati land, proved he knows tactics, he knows soccer, he's a good coach, or he should be a good coach. But you know what? It's time to shit or get off the pot. Sorry, Siebes, you might have to bleep that out, put the explicit rating on whatever on Libsyn. Sorry.
I'll mark it. You're good.
Okay. But I mean, honestly, that's what I took away from the night is that, yep, you have given us, a thought that you see the game in a way that's it should be at that level. But at some point you're always going to have roster limitations at this league. So do you become flexible or inflexible at some point in time? So I think you have one more season. You have my attention. I'm sorry, it's a lot of what Bill and Brian said, so I'm going to be more, I'm going to be brief, but you've got fine. Here's your 7-8 weeks of preseason. What can you teach these guys? How can you acclimate new players? And how can we put this losing behind us? Because at this point today, it is no longer acceptable. We are calling for heads. We are going to vote with our dollars. This trusting the process is done. Both Stom and Nijkamp trusting the process is done. I don't want to hear process one more freaking time. Okay? We are tired of losing, and we've gone along so far, but it's a point in time where we have to see results. We need to demand better, Ken. We need to demand better.
And you're not saying first place or bust.
No.
We're saying 6th or 7th.
That's 6th or 7th with the ability to jump forward. I don't want to be Nashville where it's like 8th place and that's our max. I don't want that.
How about putting the ball in the net?
No. We need to continue to be better. Okay. This needs to be a launching pad, not like a Gary Smith. He can get us to here thing, and then we'll do this for like 3 or 4 years. No. Okay. Like Atlanta, like Seattle, they are always demanding to be not just in the playoffs, but like competing for championships every year. Like the Crew outside of last season, they are always doing well. They're always fighting for it. And it's not that hard. They did it with a terrible freaking owner. We've got a great owner, and we're going to be playing in a palace next year. That is what we need to be fighting for. That's what I want to see. And after tonight, I feel like we've got a general manager and a front office who's dedicated to that. I feel like we've got a manager who knows what he's talking about, but we need to see it. And I don't want to have this facade of like, Dutch 4-3-3 soccer. I just want to see a daggone productive team on the field, and I want to quit getting embarrassed each and every week. Like Miami and Nashville in their first season with terrible rosters made the playoffs. We're in our second season with Jurgen Lecati, who was supposed to cost us $10 million. We're not even sniffing it. With like so many town players who don't do crap. Like literally, we have no contributions of anybody worth a damn on this team that makes any money. How long can we rely on Frankie Amaya and Andrew Gutman and Joe Zhao? Those are our 3 guys. Literally, that's it. Makes no sense. Literally, I don't know what they're seeing.
They're all domestic.
This is Brad's rant right here.
Losing it. Hashtag demand better. Hashtag losing it.
So I'd like to just add one. I think you owe $10 to the cookie jar for just saying trust the whatever.
Nope.
I don't even care about the cuss words at this point in time. But yeah, we need to get better. I mean, we have a top 5 ownership. We're one of the top 5 wealthiest ownerships, I think, in the league. And why are we here? I don't need to rehash. So I think Meg and the teams. This is their moment to launch. It has to be now. It's we can't be SpaceX, and this is our 6th launch attempt and crash on a launch pad.
We can't be the Vancouver Orange Caps or FC Pexwool anymore.
Yep.
You've got to show me something different. And I think we have with Barrialt and Makocho. But come on, we need to improve. And if we don't see that by June next year, hashtag losing it.
I just want to be in the playoff conversation. And when conversation is not like we still have a shot, it's we're sitting in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th place, maybe. At least remain in that conversation, not we still have the ability. I don't want to hear that kind of crap anymore from our fan base.
I want to be a transfer window away from competing from a championship.
Yep.
It is not hard. It's Major League Soccer. You can be in the top 4 in your conference with that. It's not that hard. I don't know. Brian's sitting there like looking at your face. What do you think, Brian?
You guys good? You done?
Yeah, we were just kind of waiting for you guys to steam out or whatever.
I feel like Sam Weich. We're not Columbus.
We're not Cleveland. We're not
Jesus,
Cleveland.
I know it's Cleveland, but I'm just saying we're not Columbus. So we wish we were sort of right now, but I mean, we're better than Columbus.
So one other thing I would say just from this call is Stom calls it like it is.
Oh,
He doesn't mince words. He doesn't pretty it up. We're not good enough. We could do better.
The Dutch thing.
We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to hold each other accountable. It's not good enough, and everyone deserves better. I mean, he just pretty much flat out came out and said it. So not only did he talk about his style, not only did he talk about his expectations, but he also isn't going to sit around and put window dressing on what was a lousy year. He talked about his learning experience through this process, that he was excited for a new season, to obviously have a fresh start, but also because he felt that, he had learned so much in this beginning of the season, just, what MLS was, what the club was, what the expectations were, and, what to expect from referees, which quite a lot about. But
Louis van Gaal was direct at Man U.
Yeah,
I want to see results.
Yep. And I think, at this point he would say the same thing. So, I'm not saying we shouldn't see results. I'm just saying that I think he's the right guy right now, and he's looking at everybody, right? I mean, the golden child, Frankie Amaya, he spoke very highly of him, but he also said he needs to improve.
He needs to get a lot better. That's what he said.
Yep, exactly. So there's nobody who he came out and just said, this is my player, right? Every single player out there needs help. I asked him specifically in the call about, where we stood with our current roster. Okay, so we got rid of a bunch of players we weren't playing, and now we have a bunch of players that we were playing, but how does that change, right? I mean, next year we have the same players. So who doesn't start, basically? And he wouldn't go into details. He wouldn't talk about, this player's not good enough or anything. But he made a comment that, at least 4 or 5 positions need significant improvement. And whether that's a player who steps up and becomes a dramatically better player before the next season, or whether that's a new player coming in that gets the starting position over one of our players, that's to be determined. But, he's looking at roughly, if you just keep the math simple, roughly half the players that have been starting for us will be on the bench.
Ken, that leads me to my next question, because you're our roster guy. The top 3 spots where they need to spend. I know you said a 10 DP, but where else?
It's funny you asked that. I was going to say, I think there's two easy. The top 2 are easy to pick, which is a 10 and a center back. I mean, you just need a center back. I think the third spot can be a variety of positions. Personally, I love the fact that Stom, from what I was told, called the defense garbage still. And I've always felt that way. I don't think we get forward enough. So I would love for us to build, find another outside back, definitely a strong outside back. It doesn't have to be a DP outside back, but those would be the three spots. But that outside back is questionable. I think a winger would probably be the other spot that everybody's talking about, and I think Gerard probably brought that up in the call. But I go 10 center back and 1 fullback, whether it's on Gutman's side or Zico's side. One of those 2 can maybe start. I'm not saying they should, just saying maybe they could, but we have to have a much better outside back.
I love you, Ken. And I think I agree with the 10. I think if you look at Columbus Crew 5 years ago and you saw Waylon Francis and Harrison Awful just dominate the outside and overload guys and just and wreak havoc, you could throw a Josh Williams at center back and be okay, And Father Christmas, Gerard Nijkamp, bring me 2 legit wing backs in this league, and I guarantee you will be top 4 in the conference next year.
They had Gaston Sorrow and Michael Parkhurst when they had those 2 guys.
I mean, Sorrow was hurt half the time.
No. When they went to the finals, Sorrow was the starter. Okay, this was before that. No.
Sorrow's average.
So I agree with Ken.
Michael
it needs
Parkhurst
to be center back. I think we also need to enforce those wing backs up, Brian. I think you're right, but we need to get some guys who can defend and not be slow as molasses. Because right now, out of this, the 2 center backs, maybe 3 if we bring Hagelin. Hagelin's the only one who can play with speed.
Yep.
It's not Vanderwerf. Huh?
Justin Glad.
Get out of here.
I don't know if you heard that for about 10 seconds. This became Columbus Soccer Talk. Did you notice that, gents?
They've been to more championship finals than we have.
I know that.
outside of
Brian.
last season,
Gotta
they're
respect
not
them
crap.
first. Gotta
They're pretty
respect them.
good.
They just
I'm
can't
not
win on-
See what they
disrespecting
did
can't
with
get points in the road.
Mensa up there. Okay, Mensa's killing it. Mensa's killing, and was even Harrison Awful this year's kind of struggling, but Mensa's still
because he's
doing
40.
well. If we can get guys that can take the pressure off, like honestly, a good defense that has a good offense in front of them. You got guys that can handle the ball up there, and then that allows Negby to go roam around and be disruptive. Okay, and then you've got Mensa who can disrupt the middle of that box, and then you got, if they can get their wing backs up there, they'd be really good. So I agree with those four positions: left back, right back, center back, 10. And then you can see really what Kubo and Lakadia can do when they don't have to worry about all the players behind them screwing up and turning the ball over, and then they got to hustle their butts back or dropping into the midfield because none of their other teammates can hold on to the ball for 1 second. Like Frankie Amaya is allergic to passing the ball forward. Okay? That's true. It's a true statement. It's harsh, but it's true. Jaap Stam said it tonight. When you put guys who can do the right things in their proper positions, then you will see what Lakadia can do. You can see what Barrial and Zhao and Kubo can do up front. And when they have the ball, it relieves pressure off that back line.
All right.
It's not hard, guys. It's come on. I have no idea what the hell went into this.
We should be in the front office.
If they would have listened to Ken and I, just
Football
with the
Manager
expansion draft
2021.
alone, this team would be 10 times further ahead than what they are.
Mikey Ambrose.
Holy
Mikey
cow.
Ambrose. Yeah.
Who
Mikey Ambrose.
picked Hassan and Dom and Eric Alexander?
Oh gosh, I forgot about Eric.
Holy cow.
How could you forget about that one?
We're like Ken and I
Because I've been trying.
Ken and I are like, all right, FC Dallas, we're going to pick one player off FC Dallas, Rita Ziegler. Oh, that's great. Perfect. Oh, no, we're going to spend $800,000 in allocation money to get Kendall Wasson, which I honestly appreciate him. But, I have no idea what the hell went into this. I don't. And now we are so far behind the ball. We literally just released guys in Kendall Wasson and Greg Garza today that we spent over $1 million in allocation to sign.
Yep.
Talk about lost assets. Okay? Horrible. You add in Nick Hagland, who was another combined with the trade place and all that, probably $400,000, and we're negotiating. This is how bad that 3-month period of FC Cincinnati was, guys. I don't think we really appreciate that.
Well, I think that's a good way to end the show.
Hey, Ken and I are out here for hire. It's okay. We can do it.
We could be special advisors.
We have an Excel spreadsheet. Excuse me, Google Doc.
Go check it out.
It's free.
CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/roster. Brad and Ken do a great job of keeping that up to date. So good stuff. I thought that this was a good discussion here tonight. This was a very good discussion as far as the state of the team, of how we see it, right? So, it's interesting. I want to know what you think. Hit us up. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com is our email address. You can also hit us up on Twitter as well at Cincy Soccer Talk. Don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. You can find us there or on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. But if you leave a rating and review of the show, it certainly helps us out. So thank you for doing that. And of course, don't forget to help us out to support the show, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. Get involved in the 2021 Growler Cup for next season. If there is a season, there will be a season, but it might not be till midway through the year. But if you want to get involved, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. Bill, who was our winner of the Growler Cup this year?
Boo.
Oh gosh, I should actually pull it up. I didn't do
Robert Pierce,
but Rob Pierce won it for sure.
Hey, there you go, Rob. Good.
We'll go with that for now. I'll have to calculate who our supporter winner was.
It's not good. He literally picked 9 of 10 weeks of losses to end the year. It's not good.
No confidence, Robert.
Debbie Downer. If that's how you want to win, Rob,
play to win, right? I mean, sorry.
I'm just joking. He's a class individual.
I hear a lot of bitterness.
Well, it's because
I
I was in first place and I was picking positive results, and now they're just turned into trash.
Bill Wolf, I think I finished above Brad Weigel. I think I did.
So?
I just remember all that trash talk the first 10 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I just stopped participating. It just got
depressing.
Yes, it got depressing. Very depressing. Anyway.
Well, there was 3 easy points or whatever, right? Or 2,
right?
3 to pick the winner, or win, lose, or draw.
Just saying,
you
I
got
was
4
one of
points for
2
that.
people to pick the Columbus win.
That's true.
I have faith in this team.
Good job, Bradley.
I can see what they can do.
Oh, wrong
Oh, wait.
side.
Sorry.
I
Sorry.
picked the Columbus win.
No, turn the opposite direction you want.
Anyway, this is great for audio. Let's move on, shall we? I will start with the final thoughts from Brian Weigel. Brian, as always, I appreciate you being on the show, buddy.
Oh, shoot. I just can't.
We've got a new element to this podcast on the live show this week.
Oh. Thank you all for tuning in. We will do as best we can to get more into the rumor mills and player acquisitions coming into this off season. I think we were kind of burnt out last year, and we'll try to do better for you guys this year, get some more content up. But thanks for sticking with us through this tough year, and I'm looking forward to what is ahead. So blind faith, we'll call it.
Good stuff, Brian. As always, appreciate all that you do for CST, buddy.
I'll try to write more for you.
Well, we appreciate that. Brad Weigel, thank you for doing March to Match Day this year. You and Boston did a great job with that. And thank you for once again stepping up and writing the player ratings each week. Clay stepped in a couple times, but
right. Well, every time you need a break every now and then. But Brian said write more. I just want write it all.
Oh my goodness!
That time when COVID hit and I just kind of carried the show on my back for 4 months. It took a lot out of me, pal.
You did a good job with that too, Brian. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I think that all the listeners get him off there.
No, that is not the case. Brad, thank you for all that you do for CST. You got any final thoughts?
Not really.
All
I
right.
don't anymore. I think I've expressed a lot of them. Other than I love silly season. I'm looking forward to it. And the guy on my shirt here, Jurgen Locadia, hot take for 2021, Golden Boot winner.
Wow.
Golden Boot.
How much did you drink tonight?
Not enough. Not enough. No. Levi Moore over here goes how well does Loca bounce back next year? And this, I think he's going to be a man possessed. He gets he honestly just needs a little bit of service. He puts himself in the right spots. His Yapstam pointed out tonight. So,
all right. I love your positivity.
He can at least be a field goal kicker if he needs to.
Holy cow. You were talking about that place kick thing, Soups, tonight. I'm just shit, we don't even need a finger on the ball. There's just every shot on goal. It's just through the field goals. Seem to be young. Sign up for the Bengals. We can get rid of Fat Randy. Holy cow.
We've lost the show.
I mean, you can talk about that on your Bengals podcast.
I call him Randy Calves. Oh my goodness, what has happened here? Whew.
I gotta mute myself. Probably coach is gonna talk about my squeaky voice now.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay.
So all the pressure being relieved from the season.
Oh yeah, we needed that for
Back
sure.
that pressure there, Ken.
Oh
Yeah.
Ken, final thoughts, buddy.
Final thought. I've never seen Brad's face so red. I mean, Jesus Christ, Manelli matches his hair. So yeah. Final thoughts. I really don't have much. Again, I'm just glad to put the season in the ground and move forward. Demand better. I think that's always going to be my motto at this point in time. I don't think we can get that second DP, but I think we can get something going. So, yeah, I'm just ready to move forward.
Hashtag demand better.
Yep.
Ken's ready to go to bed. I can see it already.
Oh yeah, I'm tired.
Appreciate you, buddy. And last but certainly not least, the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. Final thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously today was a tough day for some people, right? We get attached to players. Maybe not as attached this year as we've been in the past, since we had so much separation and distance and all this from COVID. But but obviously there was some OGs and even players from USL that have been with the team for a while that people have got attached to. It's tough. I mean, it's kind of the way sports are. It's the way soccer is. Players move on, teams move on. So, I guess we just need to kind of, respect the change, respect that, when a team decides to move on or a player decides to move on, it's probably the best for everyone. If it's to go to a lower league or if it's to go to a different team, obviously that player is making that decision for themselves at times, because they feel that they'll get more playing time perhaps, or the team is making the decision because they don't think they're going to play that player, which is not typically good for the player either. So even though these are tough and they're kind of sad goodbyes for some of us, it's usually about, trying to improve. And obviously none of us were happy with the season this year. So, we have to accept that change has to occur. And, if we do the same thing we did this year, the same players we had this year, then we're going to get the same result we had this year. And no one wants that. So let's respect this change. Let's try not to be cruel. Some of us on social media tend to be that way a little times, where, good riddance, you sucked. But let's with respect see everybody out and wish them luck. I certainly do, for every player who's left. We've down talked some players this show, but obviously, all of them are people, and I do hope that all of them find success wherever they end up. So,
well said, Bill. Appreciate you as always, buddy.
Thank you.
My final thoughts. I look back at that list of players that we said goodbye to, and I think back to fond memories of CST. Right, I think back to I wasn't there that night, but Jimmy McLaughlin came out to Buffalo Wings and Rings. And Brian and you, Brad and Bill, you were there for that show. And
yep.
Then when we did the other show out on the East Side with Spencer Ritchie,
yeah.
I think back to those two moments and we'll think fondly of those. And those are the things I will miss about saying goodbye to two pretty special players in FC Cincinnati's history. So I'm kind of piggybacking on Bill's final thoughts there, but those are two players I will certainly miss wearing the orange and blue this season. And we do wish the best of luck to those moving on to other squads or other futures in soccer.
Alex Steck might want to watch out.
That's true.
Jimmy, Spencer.
Yeah, I think she's going to be around. That's just a hunch. She's doing a fantastic job. With that, we've been doing the show for every week now for, I can't remember the last time we took a Monday off from doing the show. Now that the season has wrapped up, we need to recharge the batteries here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk ourselves. And so podcast probably going to be a couple of weeks before we're back, provided that there isn't any massive news that we need to cover. But of course, we'll be covering the team and any other news over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Coach is going to have a talking tactics out a little bit later on this week as well. And he's also going to start putting out some great content on our YouTube page. If you didn't check it out this past week, he diagrammed patterns of play regarding the Dutch system. So go check that out over on our Cincinnati Soccer Talk YouTube page. So expect a little bit more of that this offseason as well. Wow. Season number 2 of MLS is in the books. For Brad Weigel, for Brian Weigel, the professor. No, you're not the professor, Ken Hedker. You're the guru. The man better.
He's the accountant.
The accountant. I like that. And the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we'll see y'all real soon.